Well, you're asking me how I, 14 years old, May 1945, experienced the end of the war. Well, it was, of course, with jubilation. And it was 7 May in the morning that the German military capitulated to the Allied forces, not the German civilian government. That was still in Flensburg in northern Germany, close to the Danish border. And it was only capitulating to the Allied forces. Now that changed, and they were forced also to capitulate to Zhukov. And the capitulation in the early morning of 7 May went into effect on 8 May, close to midnight, and that was 9 May in Moscow. I just mentioned that because that's the reason why the celebration in Moscow is 9 May. Now, how did we react? Jubilation and fear, intense fear, because some say 250,000, others say 400,000 German troops were in Norway. If you look at the map in that days, Norway was actually almost the only country, the only thing left, apart from some small minor parts of Germany down in the south. Now, if you look at all of that, we had reasons to be afraid because the Germans were numerous and they had been chased out by the Red Army from the northern front in the Soviet Union, helped by the Finns, who summer 1944 had capitulated to the Russians, and the Russians said, okay, you now have to help us chasing out the Germans. So the Finns were also in on it, turning 180 degrees in the summer of 1944, after having invaded the Soviet Union, Operation Barbarossa. I mention all that background stuff in order to understand how ambiguous the situation was for us, and yet we wanted to celebrate. But we didn't dare what would in a sense be natural, namely come to a big space in Oslo, dancing or something of the kind. Elements of that also happened. But we were afraid that at some place there could be Germans starting machine gunning or whatever. So we did something else. We took the hated symbol of the war, the curtains, in front of our windows. The curtains that were designed to let not one single beam of light come out, indicating that here are human beings, the so-called blendningsgardiner, blending off light in order not to guide Allied bombers. And they came quite often, and quite often there was bombing. Quite often, not all of it well done, to put it mildly. So the Germans had an argument about it. We tore them off, we took them into the street and put them on fire. And we were dancing around hundreds of bonfires all over Oslo. I remember it as if it were today, if you know. So that was it. My father had been let out of concentration camp 19 April. And of course the Germans knew perfectly well that the war was coming to an end. And it was an act in a certain sense of generosity to let him out in order not to be party to any incident that might occur when the gates opened to the concentration camp on 7 May. Nothing actually happened, but we were very happy, of course, that he came out 18 days ahead of time. 19 April, incidentally, was the day Roosevelt died. So it was also a highly ambiguous date for us. So there you have, that was 7 May. Then it was rolling on for us in Norway. It is not 8 May, that is the Victory Europe Day, VE. It is 7 May, which is the VN, Victory Norway Day, to put it that way. Thanks for the question. That was my little tiny report from a 14 years old boy, Johan Galtung, in the streets of Oslo, burning curtains, dancing around it.